Warm welcome to an exclusive episode of the Monday Morning Learning Podcast. Honored to have Geet Maurya and Vidya Vahini Tella on this particular podcast. Warm welcome to you. Any welcome words, Geet and Vidya, before we start?
Thanks, Ravi, for inviting me to the podcast. So this is kind of my podcast debut. So thanks for that opportunity.
Sure, most welcome. Anything from you, Vidya?
Yes, sir. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity. It is my first podcast as well, and I am excited and honored to be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, for the audience, Geet, I just wanted to go through your introduction. So, Geet Maurya is a fellow of the Society of Actuaries, FSA, and a financial risk manager with over 15 years of experience in general insurance. He built his career at some of the world's most respected insurers, including ICICI Lombard, AIG, and Chubb, working across pricing, reserving, capital modeling, and risk analytics. His education foundation is what makes him, a perfect fit for Science Unlocked, the other podcast series. He holds an integrated MSc in mathematics and computing from IIT Kharagpur, a pure science and quantitative pathway that led directly to a high impact, globally respected career. Now, at Chubb, he rose to lead both the reserving and capital functions for India. He's currently a staff actuary at the Society of Actuaries, where he also contributes to the India Advisory Committee and mentors the next generation of actuarial professionals like Vidya. His passion sits at the intersection of actuarial science, data, and AI, and is actively engaged in shaping how these disciplines evolve together in the insurance industry. In short, a mathematician who never went near engineering, built a career most parents have never heard of, and is now helping define the future of an entire profession. Great. And warm welcome to you again, Geet. Um,
Thanks, Ravi.
Most welcome. And Vidya Vahini Tella is a student from Puttaparthi. I think she's doing her 12th now, who's doing something genuinely remarkable. And she's pursuing her actuarial pathway through the Society of Actuaries while still completing her senior secondary education. And Vidya, for the record, you are the youngest that I'm actually interviewing today. So thank you.
Thank you,
And
sir.
your
It's my honor.
Most welcome. Your academic foundation, Vidya's academic foundation is again pure mathematics with a deep focus on probability, risk modeling, and data-driven decision making. She's an Olympiad gold medalist, a Lodha Genius Fellow at Ashoka University, and has participated in programs connected to Oxford, SED, National Geographic, and Cornell Lab of Ornithology, where she contributes as a citizen scientist documenting bird species. And that's very unique. And she's already an active SOA volunteer contributing to the India subcommittee and writing for SOA's career development newsletter, which means she is not just studying actual science, but actively helping shape how the profession grows in India. Now, what makes her story especially powerful, again, for the Science Unlocked, is that she's a student from Parthi, rooted in the same community that Sri Sathya Institute of Higher Learning serves, and again, who saw a career path that most Indian students her age have never heard of and pursued it with complete conviction. So, warm welcome to both of you, and I think let's start off with questions. So the first one is basically for Geet. Let's actually look at segments. So we've got two segments, one for Geet, one for Vidya, and we have I think five themes for Geet. We'll start off with the origin story, how actually Geet got here. Theme two on what actual science actually is. And the SOA pathway exams, credentials, and commitment, Geet is going to explain in detail. He will also help us with the career scope India and beyond, and AI, data science, and future actuaries, and has as a message to students and teachers as well towards the end. Vidya has got two themes. We'll start off again with her discovering actual science, her story, and what it actually feels like to start the students' reality. So we'll start with you, Geet. So the first question is basically on you studied maths and computing at IIT Kharagpur. So what drew you towards actual science after that, and was it a clear path, or did it actually evolve, Geet?
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. So, it definitely evolved, rather being a straight line kind of a decision. So, as you said, I studied maths and computing between 2005 and 2010. And during that time, quantitative finance and investment banking were kind of very attractive and lucrative career options for students with strong mathematical backgrounds, right? So, like many of my peers, I was initially fascinated by finance. And, people have scenes in the Milegi Do Dobara movie, right? Like, so
Mm.
the kind of role that Hrithik Roshan had in that movie, so that was the kind of career I was kind of looking for. Then 2008 global financial crisis happened, and I remember closely that following the collapse of the major financial institutions, and I was kind of making a I mean, I was kind of asking a simple question to myself, like, how could some of the smartest people of the largest organizations would get risk so wrong?
Mm.
So that experience fundamentally changed my perspective. Like, instead of looking at things from returns and investments point of view, I became more interested in understanding the risk. So I wanted to learn how organizations, measure uncertainty, prepare for adverse events, and still remain resilient when things don't go as per the plan, right? So as I was exploring those questions, I discovered actuarial science, through my senior only, and then. What I found out was that it combined maths and stats, finance, risk management, and business decision making skills, right? In a way that felt incredibly attractive and meaningful. So looking back, I would say that financial crisis played a major role in pushing me towards risk management and ultimately the actual profession.
Sure. See, most students, Geet, have never heard of actuarial science in school as such. When did you
Mhm.
first encounter it, and what made you say this is for me?
So as I said, like, because of the financial crisis, I kind of explored it, and then, through the talks with my senior and my peers, I learned about this. So, uh, again, what really stood out basically was the actuaries use maths and not just as an academic exercise. You mentioned, right? It's a pure science stream, maths, but it is used as a tool. Mathematics is being used as a tool to solve real world problems. So this profession, sits at the intersection of math, stats, economics, finance, and business, and it just offers the intellectual challenge that I was kind of looking for at that, as a career option. So, and to add to it, it obviously solves a very practical problem. Insurance is a thing that helps society in many ways, right? So, and to manage and calculate that uncertainty is that thing that was really interesting.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
did you have any misconceptions, any biggest misconception you had about the profession before you entered it, and how did the reality actually differ, Geet?
Oh yeah, so actuaries are known as nerdy people who who are like kind of doing calculations on the spreadsheet and build models and doing those kind of things. But when I look at it now, I mean, while those things are certainly important skills to have, because actuarial science is a very technical role, but I quickly learned that the most valuable part of actuary's job is judgment and communication. Actuary is constantly dealing with stakeholders such as the regulators, other members of the insurance company, like the underwriting team, the claims team, the senior management, and they have to effectively communicate their results, which is often very challenging because the amount of technical skills that actuaries have, and how not all the stakeholders have that kind of I mean, of course, they don't even want to understand what is going on. They just want to make sure whatever number that actuaries are coming up with makes sense.
Yeah.
So yes, that is the biggest misconception. Like, initially I thought it was a nerdy job, but
Mm.
now I feel that it is all about conversation, communication, and dealing with stakeholders.
Excellent. Lovely, lovely story there, Geet. Thank you. So let's move to Vidya's story. This will be interesting as well. So Vidya is still in the senior secondary school, and you're already an SOA candidate, an Olympic gold medalist, and a LODA Genius Fellow. How did you first discover actuarial science, and what made it feel right for you, Vidya?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I first discovered this wonderful career path via independent exploration, and this was further facilitated by a high school program which was conducted by our university, the Society Institute of Ireland. And in that program, which was a year long, basic actuarial concepts were covered like financial mathematics. And coming to what made it feel right for me, since a young age, I loved mathematics, especially the practical applications and the real world impact it could have. I was simply fascinated by it. And actuarial science seemed like the perfect opportunity to pursue both my strengths and interests.
Wow, excellent. Most of your friends or peers are probably aiming for engineering or medicine after 12th, right? So, how do you explain actual science to your friends and family, and what's been their reaction with you?
I do get very interesting reactions. I met mostly with confusion and what is that? I usually explain actuarial science as a professional qualification like chartered accountancy, which is a great blend of mathematics, statistics, economics, finance, data science, etc. And my favorite one-line explanation is where there is risk, there is an actuary, though it is a huge simplification. And once people understand that and we converse more, they're often surprised by how many industries rely on actuarial thinking, from insurance to pensions to finance and broader corporate management.
Great. You're from Puttaparthi, not a metro, not a typical launchpad for a globally recognized credential. What does that mean for you, and what would you say to students in smaller towns who think this path isn't accessible to them with you?
Yes, sir. To be honest, being from Puttaparthi has never felt like a major limitation in pursuing actuarial science.
Hmm.
One of the things that I appreciate most about this path is how accessible it is to students regardless of where they live. And I take my exams from the Society of Actuaries, which is the largest and the oldest body. And they do provide many discounts like the global access pricing and similar things that make this really financially feasible for students.
Sure.
And a large part of the actuarial qualification process is based on self study
Hmm.
with access to the right materials, a clear plan, a consistent schedule, and students don't really have to rely heavily on specialized coaching or being located in a major city. It's entirely dependent on one's own drive and one's self effort. And for students in smaller towns who may feel that opportunities are limited just because they don't live in a metro, information and learning and resources are just more accessible than ever. And actuarial science is one of those fields where dedication and self discipline often matter far more than one's location.
Perfect, Vidya. Thanks so much. So, Geet, let's move to parents and students actually out there understanding what actual science actually is. So, if you had to explain actual science to a class 10th, 11th student in under 2 minutes, what would you say, Geet?
So, Ravi, to simply put it, actuaries are professional problem solvers, who help society manage risk. So, if you think about questions like, how much should a health insurance cost, or how much money should an insurance company keep aside for future claims, and or maybe something like how can companies prepare for uncertain future events,
Yeah.
or what can be the financial impact of climate change or cyber risk, or all these kind of things. So that is the kind of answers to those kind of questions are actuaries kind of take care of. So they use, as I said, they use maths and stats and data and business knowledge and answer these questions.
Hmm.
So for anybody who is studying in 10th 11th, if you enjoy maths and want to use it to solve practical problems that affects billions of people, actual science is one of the most rewarding careers available right now.
Absolutely, Geet. Thank you. So let's look at the day-to-day in terms of
Mhm.
how exactly it looks like. So you worked across pricing, reserving, and capital modeling at global firms. So can you break down what a typical actuarial's day-to-day looks like, Geet?
Yeah. So, one thing that I've learned through my experiences at these companies is that no 2 days are exactly the same. So, for instance, at ICICI Lombard, a lot of my work was involved in understanding customer behavior and pricing motor insurance appropriately. And then at AIG, I gained exposure to the global insurance portfolios and increasingly complex risk management challenges. So that was a very different experience than ICICI Lombard. And then at Chubb, I worked extensively in areas such as capital modeling and enterprise risk management and reserving, in different geographies. So that was again a completely different experience, also a leadership role to manage all these, manage people and also manage the work alongside it. Now, today at the Society of Actuaries, I am spending more time thinking about the future of the profession,
Yeah.
emerging risks, education, the technology, so which is going to impact the actual profession in future.
Right.
So a typical day, can involve analyzing data, discussing business strategy, reviewing models,
Mm.
collaborating with the stakeholders. As I mentioned, that communication and managing stakeholders is also a very important part of actual role, and
Mm.
then translating technical insights into the business decisions. So this is how a typical day looks like, and as I said, no two day looks like the same.
Sure. How is it different from, how is actual science different from,
Mhm.
say, data science or a finance career?
Mhm.
And where do they overlap?
So there is actually a lot of overlap in today's terms. So data scientists are experts at extracting insights from data and building effective models,
Mm.
right? And finance professionals, they focus on investments and capital allocation and financial markets.
Yeah.
Actuaries specialize in measuring risk and making decisions under uncertainty. Now, modern actuaries increasingly use data science techniques and financial concepts. So, what differentiates us actuaries is our focus on understanding the uncertainty and helping organizations remain financially resilient over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a different.
Sure. Thank you, Geet. So Vidya, coming to you, let's look at what it actually feels like to start the student's reality. You already cleared the SOA exams in economics, accounting, financial mathematics, and probability. Uh,
Yes.
what has that experience been like balancing rigorous exams while still in school?
Yes, sir. So that actually changed over time. I took my first actuarial exam when I was still in regular conventional school, and as I mentioned the high school program before, that actually provided a concrete base for me to build on top of. And then after my 10th boards, I switched to homeschooling, which gave me more flexibility to focus on both my academics and actuarial studies. So rather than constantly juggling two completely separate commitments, I was able to structure my schedule more intentionally.
Excellent.
And the biggest lesson for me has been the importance of consistency.
Mm.
Progress in actuarial exams isn't really about studying intensely for a few days. It's about sustained effort over a long period of time.
Sure. Great, Vidya. And if you could go back and give yourself, one piece of advice before you started this journey, what would it be?
Yes, sir. If I could give my younger self one piece of advice, it would be to trust the process a little more. Because the actuarial journey sure is a long one with many examinations spread over several years. And when one is focused on the next milestone, it's easy to become discouraged or feel like we are not progressing quickly enough.
Hmm.
So, looking back, I think I spent more time worrying about whether I was progressing fast enough than I needed to. So, I would tell my younger self to be patient, trust the plan, and keep moving forward.
Perfect. Perfect, Vidya. Thank you. So, Geet, let's look at the SOA pathway, the exams, credentials, and commitment. Can you walk us through the SOA pathway, how exactly it looks like from ASA to FSA, and what's the time commitment, and what does the journey demand of a person? The other thing which I wanted to ask is, what are the kind of educational backgrounds which actually help take the SOA pathway?
Yep. So as Vidya mentioned about how to become an associate, uh, then after you achieve associateship, so candidates, typically choose a specialized track.
Hmm.
So earlier they used to choose these specializations and then follow the exams and modules that it had. But now this has changed. I think since 2025. So now people can choose any four courses across different domains in actuarial science.
Mm.
So the domains are such like life insurance, health insurance, pension and benefits, general insurance, enterprise risk management, and finance and investment. So we have different courses at Society of Actuaries for the fellowship level of exams, and all you need to do is pick four courses. Out of those four courses, two courses should be from one specialization, and the rest of the two courses can be from any other specialization. If you want to specialize in one of the streams, you can choose all four courses in that specialization. So that's how you become a fellow. One other thing is that after you complete these four courses, you have to complete one decision making and communications module, and then a fellowship admissions course. Uh, and then after you complete all these two as well, alongside four courses, you become an FSA.
Right.
So the journey typically takes several years. It completely depends on person's life, like an individual's life, and most likely an associate will be working somewhere, or leading a team or a function, and it it is little bit, of course it is a difficult exams to go through, but yeah, it is dependent on how how much time that individual is able to focus on the exams. So it can, typically it can range from 3 years to 5 years, from
Right.
associate to fellowship.
Sure. Sure. You know, from what I understand, the exams are notoriously rigorous. So, how did you personally manage the balance between work, life, and studying, and what kept you going?
Uh, well, Ravi, I mean, there is no surprises here. Consistency is the way to go, and the biggest factor, I would say. I never relied on the last minute preparation. Instead, I tried to build a sustainable routine around work and study. So, if I give you a simple example, start early and you will finish well. So, what I personally used to do was um, start my day an hour or two early, and spend that time studying for the exam, and then I used to start my work after that. And then if you do this regularly, your weekends and other holidays will not get that much impacted by your study.
Sure.
So I know there will be sacrifices. Some of the weekends you will have to study for the exams, especially when those weekends fall very close to your exam dates, right?
Mhm.
So what kept me motivated was seeing how the concepts I learned, from exams directly improved my professional capabilities. So every exam wasn't just another credential;
Mhm.
it was another step towards becoming a better actuary.
Sure.
So that kind of kept me going.
Sure. Sure, Geet. Again, for a student starting out today in India, what's the smartest first step towards an actual career through SOA?
Well, I would say the smartest first step would be to simply learn about the profession before you commit to it.
Sure.
I've personally seen quite a lot of individuals who are kind of stuck in a midway
Mhm.
uh, with exams, because life happens. There's so many things that happens in your life which may change your priorities anytime. So the first thing is that you understand what you're getting into, and then make that decision. So basically, how do you learn about it? You can talk to actuaries, you can attend webinars, you can join actuarial communities, and understand what actuaries really do.
Mhm.
So, but if you genuinely enjoy math, stats, problem solving, and these kind of business decision making, then start preparing for your first actuarial exam, and see how those. How that really. If is I mean, if that kind of a thing is actually your forte or something like that. So the earlier you understand the profession, the better equipped you will be to succeed.
Perfect, perfect. So, looking at career scope, India and beyond, Geet, you actually work with global insurers across India and UK. How does the actual profession look different today compared to when you started, especially in India?
Oh yeah, the profession has evolved tremendously. When I started, the actual opportunities were primarily concentrated with insurance companies.
Mm,
Today, actuaries are working in consulting firms, analytic companies, fintech organizations, healthcare, and so many other companies like Uber, Tesla,
mm,
Amazon, Google. So so they are working in these organizations as well. So technology has definitely accelerated this evolution,
mm.
and the data availability, the increase in the advancement in the analytics function, AI, and automation have expanded the scope and influence of the actual work.
Sure. Sure, Geet. I think you answered the next question as well. I mean, beyond insurance, where else are actuaries making an impact today? Is something which I wanted to ask, but I want to replace that with parents who are actually listening to this particular podcast. In case they want the children to pursue the actual path as such, what are the kind of salaries that we are looking at, and what are the kind of certifications that they should actually start off with?
So, typically, if right now, students who join the corporate has already cleared at least 4 to 5 actual exams,
Mm,
and at that, if at that range, I think we can. I mean, the actuaries can have a very good starting point when I can't really talk about the numbers as such because they are evolving very quickly in today's terms,
mm,
but yeah, they can actually start very well if you compare it with any other field.
mm,
So definitely I can say that 4 to 5 times better than what other uh, fields pay initially, and then the growth of an individual is very much dependent on how quickly the person clears the exam, because in most of the companies that has actuarial function, the salary and the position is dependent on not just about how well you work,
mm.
but also on the exams and and the actual credential that you get. So
Sure.
it's very different for different individuals. So yeah, so that's how things are.
Sure. I also, being a parent, I think I'll advise them to go Google. But what are the kind of titles that they should actually, what are the kind of companies and the role titles they can Google to actually get the information? If you can help with that, I think a lot of
Hmm.
parents who are going to ask the question to me once the podcast is
Hmm.
done. So I
Right.
just want that answer from you so we can go ahead.
So Ravi, I think primary function of actuarial or of an actuary is in insurance domain, right? So I would say that the students or parents should look for these opportunities in the insurance companies so that students can learn the practical aspect of what they are learning in the theory part of actual science, right? And they can see how it is applied in the real data.
Sure.
So I would say they should start with insurance companies, and we have so many different types of insurance companies in India. One is obviously the Indian insurance companies who has business across India, and
Mm,
then we have these global captives which has their businesses all around the world, and they are using India's very talented pool of students, actual students, to work on these problems.
mm,
So, and then we have consulting firms as well, like Deloitte, KPMG, and Big Four, EY, etc. So you can start with that, and once you gain experience, then you can diverge into different streams as per your understanding and and your interest.
mm.
So yeah.
Sure. Vijay, I think there's one question for you, not in the list, but I actually wanted to ask. You're okay? Can
Yes,
I?
sir.
So, in terms of role models and inspiration, who actually shaped your thinking, who are the people in your life or beyond it who have most shaped how you think, and what did each of them teach you with you?
Well, sir, I would say primarily my parents, because what they have taught me and what they continue to teach me is just I will carry it for the rest of my life.
Sure.
They are the greatest people in my life, and They support me a lot. And also the community I grew up in, sir, the CHSI community. I went to school at the Sharma school and the teachers as well.
Hmm.
But we were placed an emphasis on value-based education over just grades.
Hmm.
And so I would find myself looking within a lot
Sure.
and questioning things as well. So I think that's what shaped me very much so.
Were there any figures in the actual world, someone you read about or watched from a distance or were inspired by, who made this path feel possible for someone like you?
Well, I read about this person called Roy Joseph. He was when I was doubting myself if I would be able to pass exams at an age most people won't start out of.
Hmm.
Roy Joo was considered the youngest actuary from the SOA. I think he became the fellow at 20 years of age.
Wow.
And I think that was really an assurance for me that I wasn't alone and many people were doing this and I could do it as well.
Sure. Great, great, Vidya. Thank you. So, Geet, let's move to AI, data science, and the future. Actually, you're deeply interested in how AI and data science are reshaping insurance. So, does AI make the actuary's role more important or more at risk, and why?
Well, Ravi, I mean, this is a kind of a burning question that we are all facing right now, and I'm still exploring how it is going to impact. But I think uh, AI makes the actual profession more important. Like, throughout my career from ICICI Lombard to AIG to Chubb and now SOA as well, I've seen technology continuously change how we work.
Hmm.
So AI can process information faster than humans and identify patterns that might otherwise be missed. But AI doesn't understand the business context, the regulations, for instance, ethics, or risk appetite, or strategic objectives.
Hmm.
So the future actually will not compete with AI, I would say. They would be someone who knows how to leverage AI responsibly
Hmm.
and make better decisions using AI.
Sure. Sure. And what skills, coming back to the skills a young person should be building today on top of the actual exams to be truly
Mhm.
future ready in this profession, Geet?
Yep. I think there are three main focus areas that I would say it actually all should have. First and foremost is obviously the technology and the analytical skills. So analytical skills, of course, the SOA pathway will take care of that. The
Mm.
technology, like whatever is current, for example, Python, the AI, different AI, chatbots we have, machine learning, data visualization, very important thing. So yeah, these are the first few technological and analytical skills that one should focus on. Second, which is most often missed by a lot of actuaries, is that communication. That skill is so much underrated in our in our domain that I can't tell you. So the ability to explain complex concepts simply is incredibly valuable, I would say. And the third most important skill that I think every actuary should have is business understanding. See, we are all solving business problems.
Yeah.
So, technical knowledge will create opportunity for you,
Mm.
but business understanding and communication will create leadership opportunities. You know,
Yeah.
so
Sure, Geet. You actually hold both an FSA and an FRM. How does combining actuarial credentials with risk management thinking give you an edge? And would you recommend that path?
Well, so I did FRM when I was kind of exploring the risk management domain.
Mm.
So FSA basically helps you to develop deep expertise in actual science and insurance risk.
Sure.
Okay, the FRM broadens your perspective in the use of the same mathematics, but how do you use it in the banking sector?
Mm.
So when I combine these two things, it creates a more holistic understanding of how organizations manage uncertainty.
Sure.
So professionals who are interested in broader leadership roles or enterprise risk management, I think combining these two can be a better option.
Sure. Sure. Thank you, Geet. So, Vidya, just one or two more questions for you. in terms of future vision, 10 years from now, where do you see yourself in the actual world, and what kind of impact do you most want to have made by then, Vidya?
To be honest, I haven't really thought that far ahead, sir.
Sure.
But in the next 10 years, I would see myself as a fellow of the Society of Actuaries.
Sure.
And I would like to make an impact in the sense that I would like to make an impact in the sense that as Geet sir said, like I don't really know much about the profession to say what exactly I would like to make an impact on. But
Sure.
as Geet sir said, judgment is a very important part of the profession, and I would like to be judge and ethical in my judgment if it ever comes to that.
Perfect. And how did you prepare for the podcast? I mean, the thing is, these are the questions which are not in the list and you're able to answer. Great. Uh, excellent. So, Geet, I think almost towards the end, we have 14 or 15 more minutes. So, is it okay if I ask you more questions, Geet?
Of course, Ravi.
Yeah, perfect. From a career leadership standpoint, Geet, I think leading from
Mhm.
the institutions, what it means to drive change as a staff actuary at SOA itself and not just being a practitioner.
So, being a staff actuary at SOA, I'm able to look at the whole profession from a completely different angle. I was part of the profession for 15 years, and now I'm looking at how the actual science is developing and how to make actual science or the future of actual science in today's world relevant. So that is the kind of questions that I'm solving right now or
Sure.
thinking about right now. So that's how uh, the role has changed, Ravi.
Sure, sure. In terms of cross-border career moves, any
Mhm.
lessons from working across India and the UK, and what each context taught you differently?
Well, I think you know the world moves at its own pace, and the different countries also move at its own pace. So things which happens in developed world, we kind of see it in India happening in India in, like, 10, 15, maybe 20 years later. So I started my work with Indian insurance company, and the challenges there were more on the data side, the quality of data, because of which, because a lack of quality of data actually, and then because of which we were not really able to
Mm.
use sophisticated models.
Right.
When I moved to UK and worked with American insurance companies, the data was not much of a problem there,
Mm.
and we were able to use the latest and the greatest technology and see them how they drive business.
Mm.
So that is the kind of difference we had. And then when you come back to India, and now 15 years later, yes, we do have better quality data in India, and then you can actually use your experience of working in US and UK and to work in India, and then solve the business problems for India.
Mm. Sure. In terms of mentoring the next generation, Geet, I think something which you're doing it wonderfully. Uh,
Mhm.
how do you think about giving back, and what exactly you look for in a young actuaries worth investing in?
I think, see, actual profession is basically for someone who has a very curious mind. So if you have that kind of an intellect and curiosity, this profession will work wonders for you,
Sure.
because the more questions you ask, you learn more about the risk, and the better judgment you will be able to make as an actuary. So
Mm.
if you have that thing, you will be an amazing actuary. Otherwise, you will have to learn those skills later. But the curiosity is a kind of a personality trait, right, for a lot of individuals. So it's better for those people to get into this profession, I would say.
Sure. So, from a big picture and a societal point of view, insurance as a social good.
Mhm.
So, what do you think is the role of actuaries in making risk accessible and affordable, especially in the underinsured markets like India, according to you?
Yeah, I think, see, that is exactly where the role of actuaries, when they work with the government,
Mm.
to penetrate into a sector which has very low insurance penetration. That's how it is going to help. And but before an actuary is ready to work with the government to understand new risk, they need to understand the current market, how
Mm.
it is behaving, and so basically what I would say is that learn a good deal about the market in different geographies and
Sure.
use that understanding to solve this issue, which I'm sure that this issue is not just only of India's, but in most of the developing economies that we have. So so again, just learn more about the trade, and as you learn more, you can move into doing such kind of roles in future.
Okay, perfectly. Thank you. In terms of your message to students and parents and closing wisdom, Geet, what would you say to a student who's bright, loves maths, but is being pushed towards engineering or medicine by parents who never heard of actuarial science? That's one. What's the one thing about your journey, a decision, a mindset, or a moment that's most grateful for looking back?
Mhm.
Two questions, right?
So Ravi, I would encourage both students and the parents to keep an open mind. Like we all know that engineering and medicine are excellent professions, and and it will give you a very very good life.
Hmm.
But they're not the only successful career paths that are available today.
Sure.
The world has changed significantly over the last 2 decades,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of specialized professions which offer meaningful work, global opportunities, and a strong career path as well. So if a student genuinely enjoys mathematics and analytical problem solving,
Hmm.
actual science is absolutely worth spending, worth exploring, and spending time on. So choose a career based on your strengths and interests, and not simply because it's the most familiar option. That I would say to parents, especially.
Hmm.
But yeah, and coming to your second question, I think, as I said before, I'm most grateful for staying curious. The decision, to continuously learn, to continuously pursue actual exams, earn the other designation like FRM, and explore different roles, adapt to changing technologies. These things has probably had the biggest impact on my career. So curiosity has kind of driven a lot,
Hmm.
my career. So every major opportunity that I have received, that came from being willing to learn something new.
Great. Great, Geet. So Vidya, Geet is sitting right here. What's the one question you'd like to have? Not just one, any questions you'd love to ask him that students like you really get the chance to ask a senior actuary.
Yes, sir. I actually have two questions, and if time permits, I would like to ask both.
Go ahead.
But I would like to start off with one. So, Geet sir, having gone through the exams and spent more than 15 years in the profession, is there anything about the day-to-day work of an actuary that surprised you? Like something you couldn't have anticipated when you were still a student?
Well, as I said, no 2 days are same. So, I still remember when I used to go and work, there were days which were extremely surprising. Things which are not completely under control, you have to work around that. And there are so many other things which happens, when you are working on something. Uh, so, so yeah, that is something that is still I'm learning from it, and especially the most challenging aspect as you grow in your career in actual science is that how you manage people, and that is one skill that nobody teaches about. But yeah, you have to, since you are at a leadership role, you have to manage them and manage them well. So yeah, those are the aspect that surprises me a lot. Technical things, yeah, we can take care of it, but people surprises us.
Thank you, sir. So, my second question for you, sir, is when you were at a similar stage in your journey,
Mhm.
was there ever a point where you doubted whether you were progressing quickly enough? And if so, how did your perspective on success and progress change as your career developed?
Vidya, I was always not sure if I will become an actuary when I started it, and that is pretty evident. So I started my actual journey in 2008, and then I gave a couple of exams. I entered into the profession. Then I gave a financial risk management exam as well, thinking maybe banking industry is for me or not. The insurance industry is it for me or not? And then data science came. you know so till 2017 I was not very sure, and my progress in these exams were also very slow. Like I was clearing one exam in a year or something like that. But yeah, after 2017, I made up my mind that I have to do this because I realized that actual science kinds of mixes data science capabilities as well. You have to understand financial implications as well, and then also make business judgment as well. So I thought that at that time I realized, no, I have to go for this and complete my fellowship. And then from 2017 onwards, my exam journey definitely accelerated. And then I finished my last actual exams in 2020 and got my fellowship in 2021.
Mm.
So yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very profound.
Great. So thanks so much, Geet and Vidya. I think together you were able to demystify the actual science career path for senior secondary students, their parents, and young professionals. So I think I love the stories both of Geet's and Vidya's. Geet, you went through in depth in terms of actual science, what exactly it is, the pathway, especially the exams, credentials, and commitment. We also gave insights on the career scope, India and beyond, looked at AI, data science, and future actuaries, and also a message was conveyed to the students and parents. So thanks so much for your time. I think we should definitely come back for another podcast with a different topic. I literally loved it, especially Vidya. I think you're able to answer questions without prepping, which is really good. Maybe you should start a podcast. Monday morning learning can be anything, but Vidya, yeah, you can go ahead and do it. But thanks a lot. I think Geet, you've been encouraging young students a lot, and that is actually showing pretty well. Anything else we forgot to ask, and me and Vidya had some questions for you. Anything which you normally answer and we didn't really look at, please share.
Sure, Ravi. I mean, first of all, thanks for inviting me to this podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversations, and also listened to Vidya. I mean, she's remarkable. I mean, she's remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And the only thing that I would like to say to students and also to Vidya as well is that just stay curious and keep learning. I mean, that's the way you will grow in any career, in any profession. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Just stay curious, keep learning. Opportunities will come and you'll have a very successful professional life. So yeah, that's all I would like to say.
Sure. Vidya, any concluding comments?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you very much, Ravi sir and Geet sir as well. You both are very kind. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It felt really like a conversation, much less like a podcast, and it was very insightful and profound as well. Thank you very much again.
Most welcome. I think we should get back again with another burning topic. Thanks a lot, Geet and Vidya, for today. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you
Ravi.
very much, sir.